You still don't get it. You still believe that silence is weakness, that absence is surrender. What kind of men have you become to assume that the one who remains silent is losing? I tell you, silence is the cry of the gods. It is the response of someone who does not need to stoop down. While the weak argue, the high-value man vanishes. No scandal, no justification, no explanation. Because his absence weighs more than 1,000 words. He does not speak. He punishes with his absence. And the punishment? The punishment is the memory that he once existed and chose not to remain. Comment below which city you're listening from. I want to know how far my voice reaches, and where there are still men willing to punish with dignity instead of begging with cowardice. If you can't handle this kind of truth, maybe it's time to leave. But if you can, like this video right now and stay with me, because what I'll say next is not advice, it's a wound. Most of you still react like dogs, trained by affection. A cold look destabilizes you. A disappearance destroys you. An absence drives you mad. Pathetic. True strength lies in not reacting, in observing the chaos without becoming it. The man who controls his reaction controls his destiny. The stoic acts. The weak man reacts. And while you scream in the backstage of affection, the man who needs nothing walks silently, respected not because he pleases, but because he is untouchable. The man who walks away without a word, who disappears without a scene, is the most feared, because his absence does not beg, it delivers a sentence. It is not escape, it is dominion. He does not abandon, he rises above the stage. While the other side seeks answers, he has already become the question. A question with no echo, no return, no peace. This is not a game, it is war. And in this war, the one who remains silent wins. The one who rises from the table without slamming his fist wins. The one who leaves first wins, because the one who leaves first traps the other in the labyrinth of uncertainty. Want to punish someone? Don't shout. Leave, and never return the same. Only a fool believes being heard depends on volume. Only a weak man assumes expressing himself is always necessary. A man of value knows there are moments when silence is the sharpest blade, because silence disarms. It breaks the expected script. She expects fury. She receives calm disdain. She expects explanations. She gets distance. And then the torture begins. She screams alone, screams inward, screams to try to fill the void you left behind. A void that doesn't bleed, but scars. Because silence, my dear friends, is the supreme art of emotional intelligence. It's not passivity, it's strategy. And the true strategist never screams, he observes, chooses, and falls silent. You think revenge is shouting, confronting, getting even. Childish illusion. The real punishment is to move on, to turn pain into strength, contempt into fuel. While she scrolls through your social media looking for signs of your downfall, you grow in silence. You change your body, change your mind, change your soul. Did she hurt you? Excellent. Now return it, not with tears, but with a life that screams, without you, I became an empire. Because silent personal growth is a sentence that needs no voice. It is felt, it humiliates, it teaches. Whoever loses a man like this doesn't just lose affection, she loses an entire future. You still try to explain. You justify yourself. You beg for understanding, pathetic. To justify yourself is to crawl in the mud of someone else's validation. It's stepping down from the mountain to argue with the rats in the valley. A man of value doesn't convince, he embodies. His presence is already an argument. His posture is already proof. When you try to explain your worth to someone who's already denied it, you're silently saying, I still depend on your gaze to exist. Nietzsche spits on men like that, because true freedom lies in indifference. Never justify yourself, ever. Your dignity is not up for debate. It asserts itself, or it isn't dignity at all. The most common mistake of modern men? Always being available. Like dogs wagging their tails, waiting for attention. A woman doesn't respect what's always within reach. She admires what she could lose. That's why a valuable man does not flaunt himself. He preserves himself. He is a luxury, and luxuries are never on sale. His rarity is his crown. His measured presence is his sword. He doesn't answer every call, doesn't respond to every provocation. Nietzsche would say, what is too available becomes vulgar, and a vulgar man does not inspire desire, he inspires pity. Be rare, be a legend, and watch as the eyes that once ignored you now burn with curiosity. You still think the opposite of love is hate. Naive. Hate is still a bond, still dependency, still reaction. True victory is indifference, the elegant coldness of someone who no longer feels anything. Not anger, not longing. A woman can endure being hated, but she cannot endure being forgotten. And silent forgetting is the gravestone that the strong man carves into the heart of the one who lost him. There is no scream, no announcement, only a frozen void where there was once expectation. And in that void she realizes he does not hate her. He simply moved on. And that, my dear friends, is the most cruel and most sublime form of punishment. The world expects you to return with your tail between your legs, to send a message, to explain yourself, to beg for forgiveness. But the true man does not return to win someone back. He returns to be seen. And when he returns, he is no longer the same. He does not come back to love. He comes back to be untouchable. He appears with a new glow in his eyes, with muscles that are not just physical, but spiritual. He doesn't need to say he changed. Just by being there, it is evident. And in that instant, she understands. She didn't lose a boyfriend. She lost an empire. And he now stands above, not out of pride, but out of worthiness. The one who rebuilds himself becomes a myth, and myths do not return to retrieve the past. They go on creating futures where the weak shall never tread. Revenge? Too small for the superior man. He doesn't seek to hurt, he seeks to teach, and he does so with silence, with absence, with transformation. Because the greatest pain is not being rejected, it's realizing you lost the chance to grow beside someone who became a legend. She doesn't suffer because of what you said. She suffers because of what you became. She doesn't hear your voice. She feels your absence. And that's when you become a lesson. A living, breathing, unreachable lesson. You didn't punish her, you simply rose. And that is the cruelest punishment, realizing that what was lost won't return, because now it shines too high to be touched. You're still clinging to the illusion of reconciliation. You think evolving is enough to be accepted back. You understood nothing. The man who truly awakens never returns to the crib that once denied him, because he realizes the love he needs is already within. He does not come back to prove his worth. He becomes the worth itself. And that disarms, that humiliates. Because while she waited for a return, what she got was an ascension. And now she can no longer reach him. The unbreakable man is not arrogant. He is inevitable. He becomes the shadow in her. Thoughts, the mirror that reflects what she lost, the lighthouse that shines too far to be reached. But don't be mistaken, my dear listener. This kind of man is rare. He is forged in pain, sculpted by absence, tempered by solitude. While the weak cry over their losses, he builds castles in silence. He has understood that the answer is not in asking for forgiveness, it is in raising his standards, and that the greatest form of respect is not the one you demand, it's the one you inspire. He doesn't sit with just anyone. He doesn't share his peace with those who don't know how to value it, and that's why he punishes. He punishes with his calm, with his elegance, with the simple truth, I'm no longer for you. That, Nietzsche would say, is the triumph of spirit over shallow sentimentality. You want to be admired and at the same time understood. Impossible. The man who awakens to his own greatness ceases to be understandable. He becomes enigmatic, distant, almost uncomfortable. Society doesn't know what to do with him, because he no longer begs for approval. The women who once underestimated him now look at him with a new discomfort, the discomfort of realizing they no longer have access. And the friends who used to advise him now fall silent in his presence, because he no longer needs advice. He has become his own compass. And the price of that? Solitude. But Nietzsche already said, he who cannot live alone will never be free. And deep down, you know that remaining accessible is symbolic suicide, that continuing to explain yourself is tearing your soul open for those who don't even have the eyes to see it. The man who ascends begins to speak less, to appear less, to desire less. Because he has discovered that peace is worth more than affection, that focus is worth more than pleasure, that solitude is worth more than the wrong company. And so, he falls silent. And within that silence, there are screams. Screams she hears. Screams the world hears. Even without words. Because the true man doesn't need to say he has won. He becomes the living proof of victory. She no longer misses you. She feels your absence like a living presence. It's different, because missing is longing. Absence is an abyss. And when the man walks away with dignity, there's no way to attack him anymore, no way to blame him. He becomes untouchable, like a statue watching from above the emotional theater left behind. You think she doesn't reach out because she's over. You sometimes, yes, but sometimes it's because she already knows you're no longer accessible. That to return would be to kneel, that reappearing would mean admitting defeat. And the truth is, some men, when they leave, take not only their body, they take the center of gravity of the entire relationship. It wasn't you who destroyed her. It was she who destroyed herself when she thought she could test you without losing anything. When she thought she could challenge your presence, your energy, your value, and that you would still remain there, available, devoted, reactive. But the strong man does not react. He walks away. He goes silent. And in that silence, something inside her cracks. Not because you hurt her, but because you didn't. Because you didn't scream. Because you didn't beg. And that, Nietzsche would say, is the highest form of punishment. Making someone suffer from the absence of pain. Because the absence of pain reveals a brutal truth. You no longer feel anything. She'll laugh to deflect. She'll say you were immature, that you were insecure, that she deserved more. She'll invent narratives to anesthetize her ego. But at night, when the lights go out and the social filters fall away, it's your silence that echoes in her thoughts. It wasn't your anger that marked her. It was your absence. It wasn't your words that hurt. It was the lack of them. Because every woman who loses a real man makes excuses to the world, but keeps the regret to herself. And that regret is corrosive, because there's no way to fight a man who is no longer on the battlefield. He became wind, memory, symbol, and symbols don't die, they haunt. And you, man who hears me now, must understand, this isn't about being cruel, it's about being free, about choosing yourself when someone else tries to reduce you, about protecting your soul like one protects a sacred temple. Don't fight to be understood. Fight to be authentic. Don't aim to be accepted. Become unreachable, and then when they look at you, they will no longer see just a man. They will see a wall. They will see what they lost. And Nietzsche will whisper behind their eyes, "This was the man you wanted to mold, but he chose to carve himself instead." Most of you are still chasing a soap opera ending, reconciliation, recognition, redemption. But Nietzsche asks, for what? To fit again into the mold that once castrated you? To smile again with those who silently despised you? The awakened man does not return. He moves forward, and not because he wants to prove something, but because he no longer fits in that old world. It has become too narrow for his new soul, and the woman who once underestimated him now watches from afar with empty eyes and a heavy heart. Because she didn't just lose a romance, she lost a revolution. A man who doesn't scream, doesn't beg, and doesn't come back. A man who chose himself. And here lies the ending, and also the beginning. This man's silence is not absence. It is divine presence. He becomes like the ancient gods, who do not need to interfere to be feared. He reigns from a distance. He punishes simply by existing. His absence teaches more than 1,000 speeches. His calm wounds more than 1,000 screams. And his evolution, that is the most glorious revenge, because he does not destroy, he illuminates. And by becoming light, he reveals all the shadows of those who tried to extinguish him. If you've listened this far, you are no longer the same, because now you know that true respect is not demanded. It is imposed through presence and eternalized through absence. And if you understood that, write in the comments, "I have become unreachable." I want to know how many of you have stopped begging for love and started building inner kingdoms. I don't want crowds, I want warriors. Men who would rather be feared in silence than loved out of pity. And if you are one of them, subscribe to this channel right now, not to belong, but to lead the new. Because the man who remains silent with greatness already roars with the gods. And to you, woman who once lost him, understand, he's not coming back. Because now, he no longer fits in the words you used to share. He became absence, yes, but an absence so luminous, so solid, so powerful, that everything around it now seems small. And you will never know if he still thinks of you, because myths don't explain, myths don't send messages, myths don't lower themselves, they simply move on. And in the trail of silence they leave behind, they create legends. I am Nietzsche, and this was another truth that may hurt, but if you can bear it, it just might set you free.